Oh my goodness, Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 257 revealed one of the biggest theories that the entire community has been dwelling over for the longest time, that Sukuna is in fact Yuji's uncle. Not his twin, but his uncle. And how do we find this out? Well, we find out in a flashback. Uruame is really curious about Yuji because he has this unexplainable power just from the residual curse energy that Sukuna left in him before separating. And this is where Sukuna finally reveals that he ate his twin in his mother's womb, and that twin soul went through multiple cycles and eventually landed on Jin Itadori, which is Yuji's father. And this is where the family tree gets really messed up, because once Kenjaku knew this interesting information, this is the moment when Kenjaku procreated with Jin to give birth to Yuji. Now, it shouldn't really come a surprise as to why Sukuna looks the way he does. Now that we know that Sukuna has consumed his twin brother, the two arms and the extra mouth makes sense, and then him being a cannibal, the motherfucker basically have been consuming people naturally. That's why eating people isn't really any big deal to the King of Curses. And with all of that disclosed, Uruame wonders if Yuji will also have the same innate potential like Sukuna. And well, if you're already watching this, then you already know that spoilers, he does, because when we cut back to the present, we see Yuji land 2 more black flashes onto the King of Curses. And if that wasn't insulting enough, this is where the narrator actually confirms another big thing for us readers. Yuji has 2 curse techniques. One is blood manipulation through the consumption of the death wound paintings, and Yuji has Sukuna's curse technique titled Mizushi Shrine. I probably messed up that pronunciation, but we finally now know the actual name of Sukuna Shrine, and I'm sure there's already people googling what Mizushi means and what it can also allude to. But anyway, Yuji grabs a hold of Sukuna's leg and tries to slice it off with his shrine curse technique, but Sukuna quickly sends slashes onto Yuji. Yuji rushes through the slashes unfazed and hits Sukuna with another black flash. And the coldest thing about this chapter, despite all the biggest revelations here, is that Yuji doesn't say a single thing in this chapter, and he keeps on attacking this man with black flash after black flash. Now, much like LaRue to distract Sukuna for just a few seconds to give Yuji another opportunity to land another black flash, we see Ino here use his curse technique and use his ultimate form, which is a dragon, which looks cool, but unfortunately, because it's Ino, much like Kusakabe, he's fodder and doesn't really do anything to Sukuna. But the plus side is this is, well, a plot device to distract Sukuna for Yuji to get the upper hand. But more importantly, the realization that Yuji slashes aren't as destructive as Sukuna's is because the man just learned the technique, which granted, we do see some images here of like scissors actually being used, and I think this is where the whole era is coming from, because in the Heian era, I'm sure there wasn't really scissors, or it wasn't used for simply just cutting objects as opposed to like a weapon or a sharp object just slicing something, right? So Yuji thinking that, well, his slashes are kind of like scissors is a little cute nod here, but more importantly, I'm already immediately thinking about what is going to happen when there's going to be a double domain expansion on Sukuna, on Yuji. Who's going to win against a barrierless domain and another barrierless domain? We know the properties of what all those things entails, on why one could be stronger than the other, and if there's anything to go off of from the battle of Gojo versus Sukuna, I'm sure there's going to be multiple binding vows happening. But because Yuji was sidelined with the peanut gallery during that battle, I'm sure she's already thinking of ways that Sukuna has it in terms of binding vows, or more importantly, because Yuji doesn't have that many binding vows as opposed to Sukuna's what, like plethora of binding vows he's made to defeat Gojo, to target the other sorcerers so far in this final stretch of the battle. That's a huge advantage Yuji has over Sukuna. Now, I am getting a bit carried away. You guys just need to know that Sukuna is now getting agitated that Yuji is landing these black flashes as it's nothing, which then leads to Sukuna being enraged and wondering if Yuji now stands on equal grounds with him. Now, if you guys can recall what happened in the last chapter where Gojo was explaining the properties of black flashes, and even someone as talented as Gojo is wondering that this is something you just can't pull off willy-nilly. You have to be in the zone. And the reveals of what he has in regards to his arsenal, I think another bag of tricks that Yuji, he'll be the first sorcerer to actually use a black flash with full intent. And you know, this series has been called Sukuna Kaisen for so many chapters because the Sukuna cycle was the biggest thing that was irritating many of us readers, and for him to now actually shout, "You brat, and him not being able to do anything against Yuji's black flashes is truly chef's kiss. And if the Yuji hype train wasn't enough, Yuji lands his 8th consecutive black flash onto the King of Curses. As the narrator finally explains, Yuji became equal to the king and surpassed him. Is this the end of Sukuna? No. But is every black flash nullifying the effects and grip that Sukuna has on Megumi Soul? Yes. Are we going to see a domain clash? Yes. But let me know what you guys think down below, and are you hyped that Yuji has now ascended to the top 3 strongest sorcerers in the verse?